Hi, this is your video orientation for the 2016 Thor Freedom Elite 23H. When you pick up your RV, we'll do a walk around on the exterior. We'll document any existing damage. We'll take photos of those, which are then uploaded to whatever website you use to book the RV. And then we'll move on to the orientation, starting with an exterior orientation. As we walk around the exterior, the first compartment we come to is the propane. More than likely you will not need to refill the propane. You'll receive it full when you pick up the RV. However, if you do, this is the valve for refilling the propane. There's also a gauge in here as well as inside, and this is the on-off valve. It will be open when you get it, but if you need to close it, that's how you do it. You can refill this at U-Hauls or other locations that offer bulk propane refills. Moving down on the door, if you have nice weather, you can secure the door open using this latch. Hook it on there, that way it's not flying around. You can close the screen door. Next down we have these two electrical outlets. These outlets are usable when you're plugged into shore power or if you have the generator running. Next we have the large exterior storage compartment. Inside here are a couple of lights for nighttime visibility. This is the plumbing basket. Has the various hoses and plumbing fixtures that we'll get back to in a minute. In this compartment, we have a basic tool kit, additional oil for the generator, an air compressor, a funnel as well. This is a rinse off with hot and cold water. The spigot for this is in the plumbing bucket. These two wooden blocks are leveling blocks. You can put those in front of or behind your tire, drive up on them to get yourself leveled out as best as you can. There's a large outdoor rug for this area out here. This is a table. Underneath you have 4 folding camp chairs. And in the compartment underneath the rug is the spare tire. There is a spare tire, but there are no tools to change the spare tire. That's a pretty involved process that you most likely don't want to do. If you end up getting a flat, you would want to call roadside assistance. As we move around to the rear of the RV, we have another access hatch to that same large compartment. Just gives you another angle for getting your stuff in and out. There is a ladder for roof access. However, we do not allow roof access on this RV. There is nowhere to hang out up there, and the roof is easily damaged. In the bumper here, this is a magnetic cover which houses the sewage hose for dumping your black and gray tanks, which we'll get back to. This next connection on the rear is the city water connection. So if your campsite has city water, you can hook your water hose up to this and you won't be using the tank water. You'll be using water coming out of the campsite water hookup. This RV does use regular gasoline. It uses a lot. The fuel tank is huge. I think it's 55 gallons. So when you're refilling the tank, if the pump magically stops at exactly $100, more than likely it's not because you just happen to have $100 worth of fuel refill. That's the limit on the gas tank, and you'll have to reinsert your card and keep pumping. Below that is the black and gray water tank valves for emptying. We'll get back to that. Next we have the electrical compartment. You'll open up this compartment to pull out the electrical connection for hooking up to shore power. This is the access panel for the back of the water heater, and this is the back of the refrigerator. You won't need to get in here. This is the generator compartment. Most likely the only reason you would need to be getting in here, if you're running the generator regularly, you do need to check the oil daily, and this is how you do that. Lastly, this is the freshwater tank fill. So if you need to fill up your freshwater tank, you'll use the supplies in the plumbing bucket and fill it up right here. When you first arrive to your campsite, Generally, 99 times out of 100, the hookups are going to be on the driver's side. Some campsites like this one you'll need to back into to have them on the driver's side. Some are pull through that already have them set up on the driver's side. So once you get ready to be hooked up, this is our electrical box. We need to first get our electrical cable. So this is the electrical compartment. We use this round silver key to unlock the compartment and pull out our cord. The other end of this cord is permanently attached inside that compartment, so we just need this end. Pull ourselves some slack. I usually let it hang out the bottom of the flap. There is this round hole for feeding it through, but it's kind of a pain. So at your electrical hookup box, you're going to have multiple options. You'll find the power cord already has an adapter on it. If you have the ability, you do not want to use this adapter. Pull that adapter off. This is the 30 amp hookup. It'll go into the 30 amp plug, like so. Make sure your breakers are flicked on, they're already on, and you're good to go. So when you use the 30 amp, you can run all of the AC electrical, so that's alternating current, the household electrical, all of the appliances in the RV. If you're using this adapter and you're plugging into a regular household outlet at a campground or in your driveway, you can use the appliances but not all at the same time. So that's the electrical hookup. Alright, so once you've got your electrical hooked up, now we can hook up our city water connection if you choose to use that. So in our plumbing bucket, we've got our white potable hose. On one end of the potable hose is an inline filter, a little extension, a pressure regulator. You want to make sure you always leave this pressure regulator on here when you're using city water connection. Sometimes if the pressure is too high, it could blow out the plumbing inside the RV. And there's also an elbow for making it easier. So just pop this cover off. You're gonna put the elbow up there and then twist this guy until it's connected nice and solid. Like so. Your other end is going to screw to the spigot. Turn your water on. And check and make sure you don't have any drips. If you get some dripping, which you shouldn't, but sometimes it happens, there is a little bit of Teflon tape in there. You could put a couple wraps on those threads and that'll stop the dripping. And that's our city water connection. All right, when you first enter the RV, there are a few switches. The upper row of switches, and everything is labeled. The upper row, the coach switch, that's for the overhead lighting in the RV. The awning switch turns on the strip light at the base of the awning outside. And the porch light turns on and off the light right outside the main door of the RV. Down here we have the awning extend and retract switch. So to extend the awning, just push and hold extend, and the awning will slowly deploy. And generally when you get to the end of the awning, a flap will drop down. A lot of times you'll see this when you deploy the awning, condensation will be in there. It's kind of holding the flap stuck. There's the flap right there. Perfect. And that's how you know the awning is completely extended, and you want that flap to deploy. Once the awning is out, you can also adjust the angle. Just pull down on those bars and you can get the awning to the angle that you prefer. Definitely if it gets windy, you want to put this away. Any damage to the awning, you're responsible for. To retract the awning, just hold the button in the retract position and it'll slowly wind itself up. And you'll know it's fully retracted when the bars go flat to the RV sides. The last switch in here is the main battery disconnect switch, and this won't really serve any purpose if you're plugged into shore power. However, if you're not plugged into shore power, this switch, if you accidentally bump it into the store position, that kills all power to any 12-volt device, so the overhead lights, etc. So if the lights for some reason aren't working, just check to make sure you didn't bump this switch on accident. So put it in the use position and your switch is connected and all your 12-volt devices should work fine. When you first enter the RV, on your left-hand side we have the main electrical control panel. So on here we've got switches for a few of the devices such as the water pump, the water heater, generator start and stop, and we also have gauges for our tanks and our battery system, although this is a much better battery system gauge. We'll get back to that. So we're hooked up to city water. We do not need to have the water pump on. Our water pressure is provided by the water pressure of the city water, so all the spigots and everything will function properly. However, if you were not hooked up to city water, you would want to have the water pump switch on, and that will allow the water pump to kick on and push water through the kitchen faucet, bathroom faucet, and the shower. We also have our water heater. When you turn this on, you'll hear the pilot light turn on and the flame combust. The heater is a propane heater. Once that goes out, that means the water heater is now on and functioning, and you should be able to hear it. It takes maybe 15 minutes to heat your water up and works great. Up here we have our gauges. LPG, that's the propane. So if you push and hold, we're currently at 1/3 level for the propane. Battery, that's one way of checking the battery. I prefer to use the other one. Fresh, our freshwater tank is full, 40 gallons. Black, we're at 2/3 full of our black tank, so that's where the toilet empties to. And our gray tank is empty. The gray tank is where the sinks and the shower drain to. So the better battery monitor to use is this monitor, and currently it's on the percentage screen. Let me light that up. You can see we're at 94.6%. There's multiple display options on this monitor. If you hit the plus or minus, it will cycle through a few various screens. The most useful one probably is the percentage. You want to make sure to keep that above 50% full. You don't want the batteries to ever go below 50%. It's a good rule of thumb. If you're getting below 75%, you want to start looking for somewhere to either plug into shore power, which will charge the batteries, or you can run the generator, which will charge the batteries, or turn on the vehicle engine, which will also charge the batteries. Another screen that's useful on here, if you cycle through until you get to the screen that shows an A. So this shows you currently how many amps we're either using or putting into the batteries. And currently we're putting 4.5 amps into the battery, so we know we're charging. And again, you charge the vehicle through, or charge the RV batteries through running the vehicle, running the generator, or plugging into shore power. Let's say you're not plugged into shore power and you need to run the generator for some reason. And the reasons you would need to run the generator are to either charge the batteries. There's also 4 things that require either shore power or the generator to function. And those are the air conditioner, the microwave, the TV, as well as any of the 110 outlets. So to start the generator, first thing you're going to do is, this is the generator start and stop switch. You want to hold stop, press and hold stop until that red light comes on and the hour meter lights up. Then hold start until the generator completely starts. Once the generator is started, you're gonna wait for the beep of the microwave to come on. And that generally takes anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds while the generator is warming up and making its electrical connections. Once the microwave has come to life, you will have heard a beep and the time will be flashing. That means the generator has completed the startup process, the electrical connections are made, and now all of your systems that require the generator or shore power will be functioning as normal. Just a reminder, if you're using the generator regularly, you need to check the generator oil and refill as necessary. Also, there is a note, the generator will not run if the fuel tank is close to or below 1/4 tank. And that's so that you can't strand yourself somewhere by using all of your gasoline on the generator and then not being able to drive out. Depending on how long you use the generator, I generally say if you're using the generator for more than an hour or so a day, you need to check the oil level, and you need to do that daily. So the way you do that is we're going to unlock this key, open this latch. Here's the generator, and there's 2 black tabs. We're going to rotate those black tabs counterclockwise, lift up on the cover, and the cover will come free. So there's a couple things in here. This is the oil fill cap and dipstick. Just unscrew this, and there is a dipstick built in. The oil is full, looks good. So make sure you check that if you're using the generator. There is a start and stop button out here on the generator itself. You should never have to use that. There's start and stop inside the RV, but there's also one out here. And lastly, there is a breaker switch right here. So let's say you have the generator on and maybe the microwave's not working, or something you expect to be working with the generator is not working. There is a breaker switch right there. Try that. I've never had that pop, but now that you know about it, should be okay. To put the cover back on, it's just the reverse. Put it in, slide it down, twist the black knobs clockwise, and close and lock the compartment. In addition to the main control panel, there's also a fuse and breaker panel, which is located below the dinette. And this has breakers for all of the AC stuff. You recognize this from your home breakers. And fuses for all of the DC or the battery stuff. And everything is labeled. Here's the labels for the fuses. The convenient thing about these fuses is if any of them do blow or go bad, a red light will come on showing you which one exactly is the one that needs to be replaced. And there are spare fuses located in the DVD cabinet. Next to this is the propane and carbon monoxide detector. So if this guy is going off, you need to open up the vehicle and air it out. You either have maybe the stove is accidentally turned on and propane is leaking out, or you have it closed up and you're cooking and you're accumulating carbon monoxide from burnt propane. There's also a fire extinguisher to the left of the door. One of the appliances that requires either shore power connection or the generator running to function is the air conditioner. And the air conditioner has 2 control knobs. This knob on the rear is the thermostat. There's no heater in this air conditioner, so you can't make heat out of this, but you can make it less cold. The next control knob is the fan speed. You can choose between low fan, high fan, There's also low cool and high cool. So these RV air conditioners do not work the same as the air conditioners in your house. They're not nearly as powerful. So you want to stack all the odds in your favor to keep the RV cool if you're camping in hot months, including keep the windows closed, put up all the blinds, open the door as little as possible. Try not to cook in here if you don't need to. You can expect about a 15-degree difference in temperature of the air coming out of the RV air conditioner compared to ambient. So bear that in mind. They do work, but they do have their limitations as well. And the more you keep the blinds closed and don't open the door as much as possible, the better the air conditioner is going to cool you down. Another appliance that requires shore power connection or the generator running to function is the TV. And the TV is on a swivel mount, but it locks to the wall so that when you're driving, it doesn't go flying around. To unlock it, just pull down on this strap and the TV will pop out. The control for the TV as well as the DVD player are in this cabinet. Here is the remote control for the TV. Now this TV, you can play DVDs, you can watch over-the-air TV. There's a antenna that will display the over-the-air TV channels. You can also watch cable TV. Sometimes your campsite will have a cable TV hookup. There's a coax cable located in the same compartment where the electrical cord is. Plug that into the cable connection and you can get cable TV. A note about the cable TV and the broadcast TV, there is a switch up here that is labeled. And there's a small button. When the button is depressed, a green light comes in or comes on. So if you're watching over the air TV, you want that green light to be on. If you're watching cable TV, you need to turn that off so the green light is off. If you are watching cable TV or broadcast TV, you'll need to turn the TV on, go into the settings, and scan for channels. You'll have to either set it to air or cable, and then scan for channels, and then you'll have all your channels available to watch TV. The DVD player, super easy. Put a DVD in, push play. The refrigerator will automatically detect whether or not you are plugged into shore power or the generator is running. If it detects shore power or the generator, it'll run off of electrical. If it doesn't detect that, so like when you're driving down the road or if you're camping somewhere without power, it will switch to propane and it runs off of the propane. And it does that automatically as long as you keep this switch set to auto. When the green light is on, that means it's being powered electrically. If it detects that there is no electricity to power it, you'll see a yellow light come on the gas indicator. There's also a little label here that the RV needs to be level for the fridge to properly use the propane. So if you see this flashing, it could be that either the valve on your propane tank is screwed closed, so you would need to open that up. You could also double check that by seeing if your stove burners are working. Or for some reason you're parked in a very, very unlevel spot, in which case you need to level yourself out or move to a different spot. You can change the temperature using the thermostats here, 1 through 5. Down low is the refrigerator. Pretty basic, pretty large, good size refrigerator. Up top is the freezer. And these click close nice and securely. Just pull out on these levers to open them up. The stove and oven are super easy to operate. If you want to use the stove, just put whichever burner you want to use into the light position and then twist the spark knob. Your burner will light up and you can adjust the flame to whichever position you need. The oven also works well. To use the oven, you put the oven knob into pilot. Technically, you can use the sparker knob to light the pilot light, although it's not very reliable. The easier thing to do is to use the long-handled lighter, which you'll find in one of the utensil drawers. Reach into the back and light the pilot light, and then set your stove to whatever temperature you need. Above the stove, you also have your light switch for the hood, switch for the fan. That just exhausts your cooking gas to the exterior. The microwave functions as any other microwave in your house would. Moving down the sink, hot and cold water. You'll notice the cold water flow is significantly slower than the hot water flow. The cold water is running through a filter. It's personal preference whether or not you choose to drink the water out of the tanks. I do. I'm comfortable with it. You make your own decision, but that's why the cold water flow in the sink is slower than the hot water flow. There's a drain as well. This cutting board slides over. You've got a little drying rack. Most of the different workspaces in the RV also have these point lights. There's a switch underneath the cabinets. Flick those to turn the lights on and off. Here's your paper towel holder. This isn't the most elegant design, but it's definitely safe for when you're on the road. This child lock is securing the cabinet that holds the plates, bowls, mugs, cups, measuring cup, and toaster oven. It's pretty secure, but if you're making a right-hand turn and hit a bump, it can pop open. So definitely, when you're traveling, I recommend locking that cabinet back down. Plates, bowls, mugs, cups are all up high. Down low, under the sink, we've got two drawers. Top one has all of the utensils. The bottom one has kitchen appliances, or excuse me, kitchen utensils such as knives, can opener, spatula, cheese grater, scissors. There's that long-handled lighter, etc. Also under here are a trash can, some cleaning supplies, trash bags for the trash can. And under the oven are the pots, pans, lids. There's a big bowl. There's a cutting board in there. Moving rearward, there is a privacy curtain for the queen bed area. You can undo the Velcro, give yourself some privacy. More storage above the bed. There's another dish drying rack in here should you need it. These shades simply just lift up and pull down to open and close them. There is an overhead vent here. Twist this knob to open up the vent. A word of warning, the other vents have hoods. This vent, however, does not have a hood, so you cannot leave this open in the rain. Water will come in. And these pillows just keep the light and noise and temperature at bay. There's a light switch here next to the bed for the light. If you're camping in colder climates and you need heat, you have two sources of heat. If you're plugged into shore power, you can use one of the space heaters that are provided in the RV. Super easy, plug it into one of the 110 outlets and you can use the space heater. Or you can use the propane heater, the furnace. It works great. Here's the thermostat. Simply set it to the temperature that you want it to be. And this is where the warm air comes out. It works really great. Moving into the bathroom, we've got a light switch, another fan and vent. You can open up this vent, turn on the exhaust fan to get any steam out. This vent does have a cover, so you can open it in the rain, not a problem. Medicine cabinet with mirror. Here's your bathroom sink, hot and cold water, and the toilet. So the toilet in this RV has a foot flush, and this foot lever, when you halfway press it, it will fill the bowl with water, like so. Completely press it, the valve opens, and all of the waste goes into the waste tank. When you let go of the foot lever, you want it to snap close so that it makes a good solid seal. And you want to make sure you do have a little bit of water in the bowl on top of the seal, just to help keep any of those gases down in the black tank. Okay, so it goes without saying, only human waste and toilet paper go down the toilet, nothing else. And the reason for that is you don't want it to clog. And we provide toilet paper with the rentals. This is special RV toilet paper. There should be plenty. However, if you run out, you can make sure you buy the RV toilet paper. Also, there are tank treatment containers in here. We'll talk about that when we talk about emptying the black tank. And there's also a bucket of gray water treatment. A lot of the time, if you do smell a not so nice smell in the RV, it's not coming from the sewage tank, the black tank. It's usually coming from the gray water tank. And that's just because the gray water, the sink drains there, so you could have gotten food debris, maybe some milk, whatever. That goes down into the tank, kind of gets gross. If you're using the sinks regularly, it shouldn't be a problem, but if you don't use them, the water in the P-traps could dry out and the gases can come up. So just put a splash of this down each of the sinks and the shower, and that should take care of any smell. So the RV also has a shower. It works great. The shower door just slides closed, snaps into place, push it open to release. You've got hot and cold levers or knobs on here. So the way you want to do this is set your temperature to what you like, and then on the shower head itself there is a button that turns on and off the water flow. The general rule of thumb is if the water is running, you want to make sure you have something in the stream of water so you're not wasting not only the water that you have, but also the water storage capacity that you have. Because remember, even if you're connected to city water, you're still limited by the size of your gray tank. So set your water temperature in kind of military style shower, get wet, turn the water off with this button, lather up, turn the water back on, rinse, turn it off, etc. Above the propane furnace blower is a wardrobe. You can stack your stuff in there. There's also a hanging rod for hanging up any clothes. We've got lots more storage above the dinette. There's some totes in there as well to keep your stuff organized. And in this one, that bucket contains the linens for the dinette bed. And to convert this dinette into a bed, first thing you're going to do is flip up the seat cushions, and then if you reach underneath, there's a lever, and you're just going to flick this lever over, and then the table will slide down. Then just arrange your cushions. And use your linens to make the bed. And this will fit an adult sideways, but it's a great space for kids. To reverse it, pop your cushions up. And this is the belts for the rear position. You're just going to pull this table up. You're going to make sure you pull it all the way up. And then flick that same lever over, and you should feel and hear it click. And that's how you know you have it up completely. An additional sleeping location in the RV is the overcab bunk. And to set this up, just slide this filler piece into position, and then the ladder has two hooks that go into the slots. There's your access. You'll have another set of linens for the bunk up here. In addition to every window having blinds that you can simply pull down or push up, there's also this large blind for the front cab. And if you unfold this, you'll notice the top edge of this has one side of Velcro. It has the loop side, and then starting on either side of the cab are these little dots with Velcro hooks. And so these dots continue along the top of each window, along the windshield, back around, and finish on the other side. If you have passengers traveling with you on your trip, the other seat belts, there are two belted locations on the rear of the dinette. So you've got two lap belts there. There's also a single lap belt in this swivel chair. So you can have up to 3 belted passengers in the rear of the RV. Okay, so in the cab of the RV, starting from the left, we've got the door and window controls, headlight controls. Down low on the dash, you'll see there's a switch labeled emergency start. Let's say for some reason your starter battery has gone low and the RV won't start. If you push and hold this switch, it connects the starter battery and the RV batteries together to hopefully give you enough additional power to get the engine started. On the steering wheel, we've got cruise control, on, off, set, coast, resume, and accelerate. This stock is your windshield wipers, push in. Shift lever, air conditioner fan speed, air conditioner thermostat. Here's where you select AC mode. You've got a couple of 12-volt outlets. This HDMI port, non-functional, but the USB charger does work. The radio in the RV is not wired to the starting battery, it's wired to the RV batteries. So it stays on unless you physically turn it off. So even with the vehicle off, the radio will stay on. To turn it on or off, just push and hold the volume button. To go over some of the functions, it has radio. If you hit menu, this is the radio icon. You can choose your channel. If you go back to menu, you can choose CDs. This button displays the camera on the radio, the rear camera. This is your Bluetooth, and to connect to the Bluetooth on this, you would want to connect to, it's called dual BT. So you'd want to connect to that on your device. There's also a rear view mirror in this RV. It's not a mirror, it's connected to a camera on the back, and you can adjust what you're seeing on the picture by dragging up or down on the mirror. And it also will give you your speed display, time, etc. All right, so when you're getting ready to leave and you want to remove your city water connection, turn off your spigot, and then undo the connection. And there will probably be a little bit of pressure to release. A good idea too is, before you leave the convenience of water and electric, you want to fill up your water tank if you need to. So just take this whole setup, and we head over here to our freshwater tank fill. Just open the cap, and the nice thing about this is this elbow will gently rest on there. Turn your spigot on, and you can wait until your tank is full. Usually if you're driving, you don't want to fill it up completely. That's a lot of weight, but it's your choice. Should only take up to 5 minutes to fill it up. And when you see some water coming out, just turn the spigot off, and now your tank is full. Alright, so to undo your shore power connection, you're just going to go back to your box, turn off the breakers, pull out your cord. I generally put the adapter back on there, and then stuff this cord back in the compartment. Like so. Lock it down, and that's it for the shore power. So if you're leaving your RV or getting back on the road, a couple things you want to do. Number one, you want to lock all your doors, the cab doors, as well as the main entry door. And there's two locks on the main entry door. There is a lock for the door handle, as well as a deadbolt. There's two keys that control that. The round key controls the handle. The square key controls the deadbolt. It's also a good idea to keep these doors locked while you're traveling in the RV. If you are leaving your campsite, I always say make sure you do a walk around to make sure everything is closed, you're not connected to anything, you're not forgetting anything. So we'll do a walk around. Make sure the latches are closed. Make sure your rear hatch is closed. We're no longer connected to power or water. Caps are closed. Compartments are locked. Electrical compartment's locked. Generator's closed. Tank is on. And we are ready to leave. So once it's time to dump your black and gray tanks and you've arrived at the dump station, first thing you want to do is get out the plumbing bucket. In the plumbing bucket, you'll find this pink container, which has some gloves, as well as this elbow for the drain hole. Once you've done that, you're going to get out the dump hose. It's located in this bumper in the magnetic cap. Pull this out, twist the cap off. So here are our dump hookups, and we're going to twist off this cap, get it out of the way. You'll notice on our hose it has the same connection. You're just going to twist it back on. It's got these slots and there's knobs. Make sure this rubber gasket is in there or else you'll have stuff leaking. So this goes onto our outlet, twist it on until it clicks. With our other end, we're going to twist it into our elbow. And we're going to put our elbow down into it. So order of operation is important. Number one, we're always going to do the black tank first. The black tank is the black handle. To dump it, just firmly pull out. We have a clear elbow here, so you'll be able to see liquid coming out. So the black tank is draining. Once the black tank has drained, could take a little while, then you want to go ahead and empty the gray tank. And that way you're flushing the line out with gray water. Kind of gives you an additional cleaning step. Alright, so once both tanks have completely emptied, you're going to close both valves. You're going to unhook the waste hose from the outlet. In our case, we've got a handy dandy hose. In the plumbing bucket, there is a regular hose if you have a spigot at your dump station. So you're going to want to rinse out the hose as well as your valves. Then drain the water all the way in. Pull it out. And put the hose back in. You want to put the post side in first. There's our slots. Remember, our magnetic cap also has some posts, so twist them on there. There we are. We're going to put our cap back on the valve. And close our access. Alright, that concludes the tour of our 2016 Freedom Elite 23H. Hope you have a great trip.